Le'Veon Bell, who will not be playing in this game, not totally surprised. I get it. He's the feature back, a lot of money invested. He probably maybe doesn't need those reps, although he did miss the entire season last year as much as maybe somebody else does. So Le'Veon Bell, he had some thoughts. This was courtesy of the Rich Eisen Show, which you can hear on many of these Fox Sports Radio affiliates. Le'Veon feels like you're forgetting about somebody in the league.
When you don't see something for a long time, you tend to forget. That's normal. Even you go to the NBA, you don't see LeBron for a whole playoff year, and it's like, oh, LeBron's not this, he's not this, not that. This is how it is, So I don't take offense to it. I just feel like once I get back on the field and people see it, they remind them. That's why I'm not really pressed about it. I'm just ready to get out there and play football.
All right, so Le'Veon Bell feels like he has kind of been forgotten. He understands it, made a comparison to LeBron James there. What can Jets fans, Bucky Brooks, expect from Le'Veon Bell, one of the top backs in the NFL?
I mean, look, he's the number one running back in the NFL. And I know Zeke Elliott and Todd Gurley have kind of emerged as guys that are kind of vying for the throne. But make no mistake, what Le'Veon Bell has been able to do throughout his career is legendary. He averages 129 scrimmage yards per game. That surpasses the great Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Billy Sims, Barry Sanders. He is in elite company in terms of what he's able to produce on the field, not only as a runner, but as a pass catcher. And I just believe in the last year, when we haven't seen number 26 on the field, we have forgotten about his impact. He is a truly special player and playmaker. And when the New York Jets finally unwrap him and unleash him on the football world, I think we quickly will remember how special he is.
And I actually think this year is a massive year for Le'Veon Bell, and not from the standpoint that he needs money, because look, he got his contract, he got his guaranteed money, regardless of what you think you hear in Pittsburgh about, well, he passed up more money. No, he got more guaranteed dollars with the Jets. That's all it was about. So he got a better deal and he did the right thing. Here's why this is a massive year for Le'Veon Bell. I think that Le'Veon Bell could have an impact on the strategy of getting a contract at that position that could last for a long time. Because if Le'Veon Bell goes out and he plays up to the level that he's capable of, and by the way, he does so feeling fresh, feeling paid, because he sat a year, gave his body a break in the middle of a career. People forget these guys, yes, he's been in the NFL for 4 or 5 years, but all the years in college, all the years before that, he's probably been playing football for 15 to 20 years, and that takes a pounding on your body as you grow and develop. Le'Veon Bell got a year off, he's rested, and he got paid. If this works, I think this could impact the strategies around the NFL. You're already seeing it to a certain level and extent with Melvin Gordon and Ezekiel Elliott. I think all of a sudden, running backs around the league are going to look and go, hold on. So you mean, if it's my time, I can rest, I can feel better, I can get the money, and still not skip a beat and perform the very next year. So why wouldn't I do that also?
Yeah, no, he certainly has an opportunity to change the narrative around the running back position, and I think it's been really, really clouded. A bit disrespectful the way we treat and talk about running backs as if anybody at your local 24-hour fitness or YMCA can just come off the street, get on the field, give him a helmet, some shoulder pads, put him in the game, and he can go and get 1,000 yards. And I don't think people really understand the difference between the good backs and the great ones. Look, you can get guys that can get you 1,000 yards, maybe 1,100, but the great ones, they push you over 1,500, 1,600 yards. They are able to amass over 2,000 scrimmage yards. There's a difference. And I think, unfortunately, everyone has kind of been lumped in the same category. But we'll see. Le'Veon Bell will have an impact. Ezekiel Elliott will have an impact. And really the one that I think really has the opportunity to kind of write the narrative, Todd Gurley. Because Todd Gurley, for whatever has happened, I think people forget how good Todd Gurley was during the regular season last year with the injury. And then because he had a hiccup, he missed the last 2 games of the regular season. He had a game where I think people forget that he went for over 100 yards against the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't play well against New Orleans. And it wasn't his fault that they didn't give him the ball in the Super Bowl. I think people have acted like Todd Gurley is just a bag of bolts and you just throw him away. And because they gave him money, he can't perform. I hope that Todd Gurley comes back and performs at an elite level so people can understand he is definitely worth being a $13 million running back.
When you put the word arthritic next to a 24-year-old's knee, I think that's where the concern comes from. I mean, he played majority of last season banged up because I think the injury occurred early in the season.
It did.
And the Rams were not maybe the most upfront and honest about what was going on with the knee the whole time, which is why so many people were thinking, hold on a second, why did you sign C.J. Anderson, and why isn't he playing this much, and what's going on here? And they thought he was in trouble maybe, or maybe he was, in the doghouse. But no, he had a legitimate injury. And so, yeah, if he comes back and he plays at a high level, I think all is well. Look, you've talked about seeing players in person for the first time and going, whoa, that's different. I remember seeing Todd Gurley in college at a game at South Carolina. He ripped off a run and by far and away was the best player on the field at any position. He was on another level. So I think to your point, people do forget how great he was as a back.
Oh, they do. They forget how special he was. And he's done it the last 2 years. The last 2 years, he's been a guy that has put the ball consistently in the paint. He scored touchdowns. He is the engine for the LA Rams offense. And I know we're at a point where we almost need to pay Jared Goff, but make no mistake, Jared Goff's success is dependent upon Todd Gurley being available and making plays. And I know C.J. Anderson put up some numbers and had success, but trust me, defensive coordinators don't sleep, don't stay up at night worrying about C.J. Anderson. They do that with Todd Gurley, and sometimes you have to ask around and get people's opinion on, like, hey, how good is he? They will tell you in the league, oh, he's a different player. He's a special player.
And you're a scout. You're a guy who watches as much film as anybody, so you would know. I would trust your word over anybody else's about how good he is. Here's the other aspect to this Le'Veon Bell season that he's got coming up here. Because, look, we've talked about Todd Gurley, the running back position. Teams and organizations are looking at that going, oh, that's a warning. Don't give a running back money because look what happens. Zeke's still holding out. Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones are playing hardball with him. They're praising other running backs in camp, so on and so forth. Melvin Gordon wants a new contract. I don't think he has nearly as much leverage as
I don't think he's the
Ezekiel
same
Elliott.
player.
No.
I don't think he's the same player. I don't think he's the same category.
And so what ends up and you know this, the NFL is a copycat league. And so while teams may not use one strategy, if it's a new one, they're paying attention to it, just like they were paying attention to the Wildcat, just like they were paying attention to the running quarterback, just like they were paying attention to Chip Kelly long before he even came into the NFL. I think teams and organizations around the NFL have got one eye on Le'Veon Bell this year, hoping that he fails. Because if he fails, that makes their point clear and it crystallizes their point to where they say, look, this is exactly why we don't want to pay that position.
No, I absolutely believe that people are hoping for his demise, that he doesn't return to form, that he's not the special player that he has played the first few seasons in the league, because it will bring that market down for running backs. It also will continue to embolden the narrative that, hey, running backs, you should never pay him. You should never really invest in that position. It's a quarterback-driven league, and even though we're paying middling and average quarterbacks a bunch of money, they just believe that the value is in that, and people are very comfortable paying a lot of money for average and mediocre play at quarterback as opposed to giving elite running backs marquee money.
I mean, and look, it's really, if you think about it, what's the solution for a running back? If you're a running back right now and you're looking around at a league to where everybody is seeing growth financially and the game's becoming safer, the only thing you've got if you're a running back is the ability to call your own shots. And Le'Veon Bell had the ability because he was in the second of a franchise tag, and he said he was willing to risk sitting out an entire year to get healthy, two, and number one, to get paid. And if that works, tell me another back around the league isn't going to look at that and say, that's all we've got. That's the only move we've got here in our tool belt. That's the only one that we can go to that we think is going to give us some success. So I'm fascinated to see how Le'Veon Bell, look, he already got the contract. If he's got fresh legs this year, I think he could have a major impact in this league. I really, really do.
I absolutely believe that he's going to have a major impact. We're looking at the game now. The New York Jets just scored a touchdown. Sam Darnold threw a little sprint right option to Jamison Crowder in the corner, and they look good on offense. And you can already envision what the Jets will look like when they have Le'Veon Bell, because he's a hybrid player, meaning he can run it, he can catch it, he can run routes like a wide receiver. There's so many things that Adam Gase can do and so much creativity he can add to his offense. Le'Veon Bell is going to be a huge part of the Jets being a team that could be very, very solid and may even compete for a playoff spot.
How about Bucky Brooks in the middle of that? Breaks down a sprint right option.
I mean, that's what it was.
First touchdown that we're getting to watch in a bulk of games in the NFL preseason outside of that garbage game in the Hall of Fame game. By the way, that game was better when the field melted. I just want to point that out. But How about that? In the middle of the first segment here on the show, you identify a sprint right option. That's unbelievable.
Everyone does it down at the
It's a
goal
West
line.
Coast
That's what it
offense,
was.
right?
Little sprint out pass.
That's great.